welcome back to another episode of MINDFLEX. My name is Courtney, I'm an Australian sprinter and founder of MINDFLEX. Today we're going to be talking about finding the gap or finding your gap to help you better understand what that is, how you can improve on it, how you can train it, and how you can put it into play. When I say find your gap or find the gap, I'm talking about the gap between your mental state or your mental skills and your performance, and how you can use your mental skills to better your performance, and also how you can use your performance to better your mental skills. So, we're going to help you better understand what that is, how you can actually implement it, and then what you can do to help improve it or train your mental skills to be able to perform. So something that I always talk to people about is, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have a strong mindset and you don't work on your mental skills, then your performance will remain untapped and unknown. So you won't find the greatest athlete in the world who only does performance-based things and only trains hard and doesn't work on a mental part of their training. You need a bit of both. Sometimes I believe that mental skills and mindset outweighs your performance, because you can be the hardest trainer in the world, but when it comes down to competition or something that's really important to you, you won't be able to be mentally strong enough to actually compete or perform at your best ability because you haven't worked on your mental skills. Your mind is one of your most powerful tools. It's right here, it's always with you. You can train it any time of the day, anywhere in the world. You won't really ever find that an elite athlete will only train their body and not their mind. So it's so important. It's something that is sometimes overlooked, especially in the developmental stages of sport. I know myself, when I was growing up and living in Alice Springs, I didn't even know what a sports psychologist was. I didn't even have access to these services. It wasn't until I made the 2014 World Junior Teams that I actually was exposed to what a sports psychologist was, and after that I realized how important that was and how important mental skills were and mental performance, not just your physical performance. So for me, I only started seeing a sports psychologist when I was about 17 or 18, and that was because I really didn't know what they were for. I thought that you needed to see a sports psychologist or work on your mental skills or mental state if there was actually something wrong, but I was really wrong. It wasn't until I started working with a sports psychologist and that I started to train my mind and my mental skills that I found that my performance increased, both in training and competition. And that's kind of what I'm going to talk about today when I mean, by finding your gap, finding the gap in your performance. Mental skills are not abstract. They are trainable, measurable, and coachable. You can do these, whenever you're alone with other people. You don't need to worry about not having the tools for it. You can do it anywhere in the world at any time of the day. There are so many mental skills that are involved in training and competition, and these can include goal setting, focusing, concentration, decision making, self-talk, confidence, composure under pressure, anxiety management, present moment awareness, consistency, adaptability, and mental toughness, pre-performance routines, preparation, arousal management, reset and refocus ability, your motivation and drive, effort, and enjoyment. The other thing that I also want to explore and talk about today is bridging the gap between training and competition, and using what you do in training for your competition. We refer to this as the mindset gap. Many athletes experience frustration and anger because they get stuck with trying to bridge the gap between training and competition. They feel better in training than they do in competition, and this can be because of a number of things. I know myself, I'm a really hard trainer, but also when I'm out on that track at nationals and states, I really do thrive from the environment. I love the sound of people yelling. I love that little bit extra pressure from everyone that's around, and it means something to you. So athletes always find that training is a little bit easier than competition. It's about finding ways that we can bridge that gap between training and competition and implement things in training that we can use in competition. So that's where things like practicing your pre-race routine, practicing your pre-race nutrition, also including things like your sleep routine, recovery, all of that stuff. When I'm preparing for nationals, we have blocks of training where the last day of the week on most of those blocks includes a time trial or a race kind of programming, which means you're kind of getting yourself ready to race. You're putting all the stuff that you've learned in training into that particular session or time trial, and you're just kind of practicing everything that you do or everything that you would do in competition in your training, because practice makes perfect, and if you don't practice what you do in training, you will never be able to use it in competition to the best of your ability. Pressure is a huge thing for people when it comes to competition, and I think that's the main thing here when it comes to training versus competition. Well, I know that is for me anyway. So you don't have as much pressure in training, so you don't run as hard or you don't run as fast. When, you know, it actually should be the other way around. You should be training as hard as you can because you know that in the competition or the race that you're going to have to put it all in. So competition will always bring additional factors into play. Things like your expectations that you place on yourself and others, your nerves, your past performances that might creep up on you, whether that's good or bad. Everyone responds to these things in different ways. When I was at Nationals one year, I like my headphones on, I like to just be in my own world and kind of just thinking about what I'm about to do, or maybe not even thinking about anything at all. And kind of when you go to the call room with track and field, you have to take your headphones off, you have to leave your electronics, everything stays outside the call room, and you go in there for 15 to 20 minutes with everyone else that you're competing with, and you sit there. And everyone's talking, some people are not, and then they're talking about their performances, their expectations, and the reality really starts to hit you. So, you know, trying to continue to stay self-composed is so important. But this particular year at Nationals, I was coming out so I was in the call room first. This one particular athlete was just talking so much, and she was kind of directing her chat towards me. And I knew her very well, and I could tell that she was really nervous. And people always kind of come up to me when they're feeling nervous and they want a bit of reassurance or they just want to chat it out. So I was her person. And I'm sitting there and she's chatting to me, and I'm kind of trying to just come back to my own performance and myself and trying to stay composed, but it's really hard in the moment. I kind of managed to keep myself in my own head and not let it get to me, but then we went out onto the track and we had to walk to the 200 meters start. So we came out onto the track at the finish line and we walked 200 meters around to where the start line was. And this particular athlete just talked to me and talked to me and talked to me. And she was talking to me about how badly she feels she's going to perform, and that she's so nervous, and that she's just been running so slow, and that she's not going to be able to run fast, and that, you know, she feels that she's going to get injured and all of this stuff. So I'm not sure if that was a little bit of like trying to get in the competition's head, I'm not sure, but it kind of showed that she was nervous and she was trying to deal with her pre-race anxiety, I guess. She was very fine. She raced that race, she ended up winning, I got second, and everything was all good, but she definitely was not going to be running slow. So I think she was trying to get in other people's heads, and I was that person who was there, and she knew that I was very much her close competition in this particular race, and she was trying to throw me off. It didn't work for me. I'm very good at kind of coming back to myself and recentering myself. So in the moment she's chatting to me, I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't want to hear that, but it's okay because I'm letting it come into my ear, I'm letting it go again, and then I'm trying to come back to myself and think about things that I can control and the things that I want to be doing. So my process is pre-race, my process is right before I get to that starting line, and I'm just trying to put me first, letting her know that, you know, I'm not really wanting to listen, but I'll still acknowledge her that she was there. So yeah, I don't know. A lot of people deal with it differently. I've had a lot of those experiences. I now always have headphones on, even if I'm not playing music. I'll always have headphones on, and I'll always kind of keep to myself because that's what works for me. Something worth mentioning is that under pressure, your brain will start to think about things that are normally normal for you to think about and things that are really easy for you to execute, to overthinking, self-doubt, hyper-control, and fear of failure. These things will lead to really quite a lot of tension in your body. You will start to change things last minute. You will shift up your race plan. You'll shift up your game plan. You'll do things that you don't normally do, that you haven't practiced in training. And you'll do things out of fear of failure, self-doubt. You won't ever be able to achieve things the way that you should be able to achieve because you're changing things last minute. Story time. So I was at state champs a couple of years ago, and my coach decided that very much last minute, like right before I was going to the call room, that we were going to change up my game plan. So my race was a 400 meter, and I would normally have my race plan that I practice in training all year round, all season, and know exactly what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and the marks and the points in the race where I'm doing it. I always have my cue words, all my self-talk in my mind, and things like that that correlate with all of that stuff. So she threw a big spanner in the works, and she said, all right, we're going to change things up. We're going to change things up right now, and I want you to go out as hard as you can and see how long you can go fast and see how long you can hold on. And then we want to see what you can do. So for me, I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know if that's the right thing to do. But because she was my coach, I trusted her. I put my trust in her. And of course, I listened to her. I'm a very good athlete in terms of listening to my coach when they tell me what to do. And I threw my race plan out the window that I normally would do, that I've done for my entire life, my entire career. And I went out and I ran as fast as I could for the first 300 meters, and then I died a slow, painful death. So it was not my best race, and it was definitely not my fastest, and I don't even think I placed very well. You know, changing things up last minute just definitely didn't help. And I don't know if that was because she was a bit anxious or she was nervous, or maybe I appeared to be nervous or anxious, but yeah, it definitely did not help, and it definitely does not work to change things up last minute. More times than not, it won't work. You'll feel all over the place. You'll feel like just not right doing the things that you're doing. So yeah. So in these pages and then the next few pages of MINDFLEX, you're going to try and find ways to close that gap. You're going to assess yourself and then implement things that you're going to be able to use to help close that gap for you as an individual. You will be guided through assessing your mindset both in training and competition, and then seeing what the difference is. So seeing what you like in training versus competition, and then finding ways to bring them closer together. It's so important to identify and reflect on your strengths and weaknesses, and then find ways to improve those areas. Then identify where your mental strength is lacking or where there's a mental gap in your performance. And then start to sharpen and develop strategies to help bring your best self to training and competition. Bridging the gap between training and competition is so important, and I think as athletes we forget that things are more mental than physical. So important, and yeah, always come back to your strengths and weaknesses, and always keep fine-tuning things. I hope you really enjoyed listening to this episode of MINDFLEX, and yeah, I look forward to sharing more with you, and keep an eye out for the next episode.